Hi, Shumail. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that you have accepted this challenge. Would you like to introduce a little bit of yourself, maybe before you start to interview me? Audience would like to know who you are and why were you chosen? Yeah.
I am from India and I've been living in Portugal for more than 5 years, almost six
Mhm.
years now.
Yes.
And I live in Castelo Branco. And I did my master's here and now I work. So I'm from the north part of India called Uttar Pradesh, and the city is Lucknow. So I'm from there.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you so much for your introduction. Ramat will be interviewing me, and I believe his questions is most of my students and students want to be curiosity. You will find out from this interview the reason why I have chosen Ramat to be my interviewer. Okay, so let's start. Ramat.
To know as a teacher, what is your background? What did you study and where did you study? Can you tell us more about yourself?
Very good. Thank you for starting with this question. This question is actually very important and very good for people to get to know me. Well, first of all, my background was in business administration. I study on a Wales University. Yeah, it's in England, Wales University. But it was, the branch was actually in Indonesia. I study on Wales University, business administration, but it was located in Indonesia where I lived half of my life. Yes, so that's one of my background. My second background, as we know, business university is a very broad study that can have many branches. Like, for example, you can become an accountant, you can become an entrepreneur, you can work on the marketing field because it embraces all those disciplines, right? Business English as well, because there is business English. Actually, during my studies, I started teaching. But let's go to your second question so I can answer you better this part. Yeah, I believe.
So, yes. Since just I had to interrupt with a minor question out of curiosity, if since you spent a lot of your time in Indonesia, so do you speak some Bahasa Indonesia?
Yes, I
Did you
speak.
learn
How do you
some?
know it's Bahasa Indonesia? How do you know it's Bahasa?
Because I know some people there, so
I
so it
see,
was interesting.
interesting. Interesting. Ya, saya bisa bicara bahasa Indonesia, tapi nggak begitu lancar. Ya,
Oh, very good.
untuk konversasi biasa bisa. I can speak for
Oh,
basic
basics.
conversation.
Oh,
I can
that's
speak.
lovely.
Yes. Yes.
So my second question would be, what motivated you to take up teaching as a profession,
Very
especially
good.
teaching languages?
Yes. And for me to be able to start answering this question, first of all, I have to say that what I learned through my experience is you don't become a teacher, you born a teacher. Teaching is a talent. You can learn skills and methods doing courses and studying about it. But if you are not a teacher by heart, you can't really be a truthful teacher. And I've learned that I am a teacher because I love helping people and educating people on something. And that's what I used to do since I was small. Since I was a small kid, I was always teaching something to someone. And most of the way I play, it was teaching something. I discovered when I was a teacher by heart back then when I was living in Indonesia and I was still at my university. When I was 19 years old, I got a job offer from one of my mom's friends. She said, you know, there is a English course here that is searching for a Portuguese teacher, but it's hard to find a Portuguese teacher here in Indonesia. So they are willing to train someone who has good Portuguese to teach Portuguese. So they are willing to try to train and preparate. So that's when I said, okay, I'm gonna give a try. I don't know if I can do that or not. Back then, I didn't even know that my calling was to be a teacher, but I liked the idea and I was like, okay, let me try, you know. So I went there and they were training me. And during the training, it was not just me, they were giving general training to all teachers from all, this school is Berlitz School. Berlitz is one of the most well-known
Language institutes.
courses, yes, and they teach all languages from all over the world. So this training was for all teachers that were there. And there was teachers like much older than me back then with teaching background and everything. And I remember our director and our owner, yeah, he asked a question like this to all the teachers. So, can you tell me what a classroom is consisted of? And I remember because I was the youngest and the less experienced, I would be always chosen last to answer the questions. I already knew what to answer, but I knew it wasn't my turn, so I just kept quiet and everybody kept on saying, oh, whiteboard, eraser, chair, table, and things like that. And then when came to my turn, I said question and answers, understanding, doubt, clarification, patience, responsibility, and all these kind of things. And everybody were looking at me because they were all answering like physical stuff, you know.
Yes, they were thinking materialistic.
And then the director looked at me and said, "You are a born teacher." And then when he said that, that was enough for me to have an understanding that I was on the right place. But I was passionate about learning business English, which is one of the majors inside of business administration university. And I was truly focusing on learning about business English. So in business English, you learn presentation skills, you learn everything, not just the English itself. So when I continued teaching Portuguese, and I taught like diplomats from different kinds of embassies that wanted to go to Portugal, wanted to go to Brazil. During that training, they teach me the difference between Portuguese language from Portugal and Brazilian Portuguese, which is not much actually. Though Brazilians and Portuguese are always trying to compete with each other, who is better, who can do, who cannot do, these kind of things.
Yes.
It's natural, it's normal, you know. Everywhere in the world, there is this kind of competition between countries that are brothers and sisters. It's not everyone who does this kind of things. I believe there is a place for everyone in this world. We don't need to pull off each other's carpets in order to grow and be successful. I believe if the door open for you, there is a purpose for it. So when I saw this door open, I was like, I'm gonna take this opportunity, and I started teaching Portuguese for ambassadors, business people, and children as well, like everyone who basically needed to learn Portuguese for different kind of reasons, but mainly was because they wanted to go to Portugal or to Brazil to live. Yeah, and that's how it all started.
And that was in Indonesia, right?
Yes, all
Yes.
in Indonesia. I continue teaching Portuguese for 4 years in a row. Not that I needed the money, because my parents was actually well-to-do, and to be honest, my parents were like, focus on your studies, stop working. I want you to be fully focused on your studies. You don't need this, we can support you. But I love doing it. I love teaching, and I was not even for the money anymore. The amount of money they were paying me is like nothing, because they were giving me training. So I don't know, maybe I was 19 years old too. So they were like, okay, it's just symbolic, and I was fine. But I learned so much with them, and with the Berlitz School, which was my first school. And they don't teach you just for one specific language. They teach you for whatever language you're going to teach. They give you the strategy and the methods to teach whatever language. And that was very good for me. It was a very good starting point. Yeah. So that's how it all started.
So
Right?
after
Yeah.
that, like, how did you transition to teaching immigrants? Like, did you move to Portugal after that?
Yes.
And what
All
is the
right.
story from there?
Your questions are very good. Okay, so before I get to that point, I have to first tell you how was my transition from teaching Portuguese to teaching English. One day, I saw this ad on a newspaper saying that there was a company back in Indonesia that was searching for a business English teacher to teach them. It was actually Pertamina. Pertamina is like oil company in yeah. So because I believe that if you don't try, is a 0% chance of getting what you want. But if you try, it's already a 50%.
50%. Correct.
So like, okay, I'm gonna give a try, see how it goes. Then I applied, and they asked me for the interview, and then I was truly honest with them. Okay, I have business English background, but I never taught English, but I have the method from Berlitz to teach languages, but I never taught English. And then they were like, okay, we're gonna give a try to you. And the number one thing is be humble and struggle a little bit. If you're starting in business, whatever field you are, accept what they are offering for now. And remember, the struggle will be a payoff for you, because you are learning. I was already on my 20s when I started teaching business English. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get this money. But when I start teaching and I started to realize, okay, my students are having progress, they are learning so much, and I felt that they had the need of keeping me there because they saw the progress. Then I talk to them and I say, okay, I want a raise because, and then I gave my points, and they gave me a raise. After that, one final day, this is the best part, why why did I chose Shemael to do this interview to me? So this is the best part. I was teaching business English, and one of the employee came up to me and said, which is my student, came up to me and said, Jana, you are a very good teacher. And my wife happens to have a school, and she's looking for a teacher to teach. I said to him, but I don't have experience on teaching children, and I'm just learning how to teach English, and my main focus is business English. And then he's like, yeah, but if you don't mind, please contact her. She will talk to you and interview you to see if if you are able to or not. You know, you just give a try. And I'm like, okay, sure. He gave me the business card. And then I contacted her. So when I went there, I got the interview and she put me to be trained. So a teacher helper in the classrooms with small kids. And I love kids. So that's another skill that I learned, but I stayed there only for a short time because the school was too far from me. School was teaching other companies. And one day I met this one person that was as well a teacher. He was a British gentleman. And then he told me that his school was looking for a teacher, and then it's actually near you, so you should give a try. So I went to the interview. When I entered the office, I looked and I had a shock because the person who was there was my principal. His name is Sir Ram. Sir Ram. He's an Indian because I study in Mahatma Gandhi school, in an Indian school. When back in Indonesia, I studied Mahatma Gandhi school. So I saw him and I was like, oh my God, I was embarrassed because I was a very naughty student. I remember one time in Mahatma Gandhi, the bell rang from the break time, and everybody had to go back to class. And I kept playing volleyball. I didn't go to class. And when I entered late to the class, I had my volleyball under my arm. And then the teacher looked at me, Miss Ratna, I will never forget. Miss Ratna looked at me and then she said, where do you come from? And I said, from Brazil. When I said from Brazil, the whole class started laughing. And then I was sent to the principal office, and that was Sir Ram who interviewed me and gave me a job as a teacher. So when I went there, I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna remember me, you know. But he didn't quite remember me because there was too many kids in there. So he didn't remember me, but I said, sir, you know, I was a very naughty kid back in your school. Are you sure you want to hire me as a teacher? And then he said to me, which child isn't naughty? Every child is naughty. You grow up, you grow mature. So I got hired, and I worked for 5 years. Then I came to Portugal. I'm married, my husband is Portuguese. We actually met in Indonesia. So we decided to come to Portugal. So we had a dream of being an entrepreneur. And I saw that during the pandemic time, I saw that a lot of teachers were doing well, becoming an entrepreneur online. And I was starting to study about that situation. But I never took it really seriously. And then one final day, I said, you know what? I'm gonna study marketing digital and then see how it goes. And then I started studying marketing digital, and that's how I started. I decided to promote myself online as a teacher, and I started teaching English to immigrants, in special Brazilian immigrants. I started teaching English online, and then a company here in Portugal, an Indian company. I love teaching immigrants in general.
So did you teach Indian immigrants in Portugal in a
Yes,
company?
I
Also?
teach at the company, but I teach students that come to me directly. They come to me directly and I teach them. I have quite a few students, Indian students that I'm teaching now from level 0, level A1, level A2, and level B1. And teach them until they know enough to take the exam for the certificate for them to make the documents. The preparation, the exam is called SIPO. SIPO is the exam that you take in order to obtain the certificate that you need to bring in order to get the citizenship or the
Yes.
permit, living permit in this country, yeah. So a big heart for immigrant people because they are fighters, and I'm an immigrant myself. Well, now I have the heart because I know how hard it is for an immigrant. Like we have to leave our culture behind, our family behind, everything behind, and we need to face so many obstacles, right, in our lives,
Challenges and
challenges. Yeah. So I have big heart because I know the pain that the immigrants.
is there any other studies you have done apart from that, what you described to us?
Yes, I start teaching online. I have also done psychology, cognitive behavior. And I try to apply this studies on my students as well, because I believe that when you learn a language, uh, if you're not mentally prepared, you can't learn effectively. So it's very important for me to analyze the psychology of my students. What are their fears, their insecurities, what's holding them back from learning the language, because it could be some bad experiences or traumas.
So where do you see yourself in the future as your teacher and your career progresses?
Okay, I'm a kind of person that think quietly and go and do and boom, let everyone. That's what I did when I first started going online. Like when I was studying marketing digital, no one knew I was doing it. I was still doing my other job while I was doing it. And then suddenly when I was online teaching, everybody's like, oh, you're back on teaching, you're teaching online. Like the thing is, when you go do something that most people are afraid of doing, you will have a lot of challenges on your way. There will be, and you will know who people truly are, because you will get the real people who really wants your success and is happy for you, you will know. And the people who are not happy for you or wish to be there where you are, but doesn't want to go through what you went through, you will also get to know. So I
Absolutely.
like to keep things quiet and then let everyone know. You already rather not say, but what I can say is what I will do in the near future and what I plan to do, because I believe that who knows, someone who is hearing this is also willing to join forces with me about that, which is I have realized that a lot of immigrants that do not have Portuguese as first language or does not speak Portuguese enough, at least for survival, are struggling on getting a job in this country.
Yes,
It's
definitely.
like, yeah, it's like if they don't speak the language, they can't get the job. And if they don't get the job, how can they pay to learn the language? So my next job in the very near future, which I have already started a little bit doing it, but in a very uh, soft way as for now because of my schedule and my limitations, is teaching the people who are not able to do it. Yeah, teaching the immigrants that don't have financial support to pay for the courses, because most of them actually they have family, they have to support their family, and they can't, because if how can they get a job if they don't speak the language,
Yes.
like I mentioned before. So this is my near future project. It's not a project that will make me rich or anything, as in money, but will make me rich as full-hearted to be able to help those.
That is a very good initiative.
Yes, but I get misunderstood a lot sometimes on the immigrant community on the internet. You know, internet.
Yes,
There are a lot of people who will go for you, but a lot of people who will judge you just based on one post that you have done. They don't know the roots, they don't know the background, where you're coming from. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this interview too, to break those misunderstandings, um, and make people understand why my heart is there with the community of immigrants, in special Brazilians and Indians. So they can understand, that I have background. I worked 5 years in a Mahatma Gandhi school, and I did my high school in Mahatma Gandhi. I study in Mahatma Gandhi, but I work in Mahatma Gandhi, but both of them are Indian schools. So this is my heart. My heart is in there. My best friend, she's in Indonesia. She's Indian, and we are in touch up to now. It's very Indian herself. So I'm not. I am aware, and I know, and everyone knows that there are good people and bad people everywhere. It doesn't matter the nation. There are
correct.
good Portuguese people, bad Portuguese people, good Indian people, bad Indian people. I'm not saying, wow, I love Indian, they are so perfect. No, I know there are some also, people that are not like, very kind or very nice people. I know. Every Brazilians too.
Yes, correct.
Don't judge the nation, judge the person it's.
Person, I agree with you.
Yeah, and you're living here in Portugal, and you should know that very well yourself, right? I mean, like
Yes,
when
yes,
we live abroad, we get to know uh, about those things,
yes.
because
We
yeah,
get the picture from outside.
yes.
Yes,
Uh, I want to ask you, for 6 years, right, in Portugal?
yes.
Yeah, so can you tell us like why did you come here for, like you said, study, but what exactly was your background and why? Why Portugal?
So first I applied after I finished my bachelor's. So I did my bachelor's in UAE
Mm-hmm.
in mechanical engineering, and after I applied for master Erasmus in masters. So it was in many countries of EU, in the UK and Slovenia. But after I had to choose for Portugal or Sweden, so I choose Portugal to finish my studies in Coimbra. So I came here for that to basically to study my masters, and I have stayed back here ever since.
Ever since,
So
so
yes,
you liked the place as well, yeah?
yes, and I started to know the culture, the language, and I got a job here, and then I stayed in Portugal since then.
Since then, very good. That's very interesting, very inspiring. This is what life is, a box of surprise. We
Yes,
never know what will be our tomorrow. Like when I took business as a major, I never thought I would end up being a teacher. So I believe your situation
yes, exactly. It is the same. You don't know what is expected, and life just throws the opportunities at you.
just throw the
Yes,
opportunities, and when the
yes.
opportunities are thrown, just take it,
Take
right?
it exactly.
Take it,
Yes,
and from there you can see. I believe nothing is a waste.
yes.
Um,
Everything is a learning lesson or
yes.
something from.
Yes, what is not gonna make you prosper will also give you a lesson that you will use for the future in the next door, right? So nothing is really a waste. So yeah, that is very interesting. And can you tell us a bit about your Portuguese? Though you are my student and you are in B1 level, but when you came to me, you already knew Portuguese. So how did you start learning the language?
I started learning by myself, especially from the job. So when I got my first job, I did not know Portuguese, but I have to. It was uncomfortable, but but they gave me a chance to work. using English and some broken Portuguese.
Oh,
So I would say I learned a lot of Portuguese from, the workplace because I was forced to work with people who don't speak English. So so slowly my Portuguese became level, at least better, at least in the perception. So in the speaking, I still needed to learn the grammar and everything
right.
because when you learn like this, you don't know the grammar and things like that. You can get the message, but it will still be broken. So so I take lessons, and that helped me a lot. To form the structure and the grammar, because for
Yes.
sure you need the teacher for that.
Definitely to give a polishment, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially Portuguese language, because Latin language in general, we have like male and female for objects as well, and grammar, like each person has a different way of saying a certain word, like grammatical word, not verb. So you really need
Yes, some structure. You need the skeleton.
yes, that's good. And thank you for trusting me as your teacher as well. And yeah, so I will ask you a question for that you asked me. Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Well, for me also, like I don't know exactly where I would be. Like I said, the opportunities, even I did not know 5 years ago I will be in Portugal.
Yes.
Because my intention originally was just to study and live for, like I said before, I used to live in the UAE. So I spent most of my time there, and I would love to go back there because I consider it like my home, even though I'm from India. So that was one thing. But as of now, I think for the near future, at least I'm going to work in Portugal because my language level has improved so much that I feel more comfortable working in Portugal before, which was not this case. So the more I learn Portuguese, the more easy it is for me to stay here,
Yes.
even for my career.
Even for your career, exactly. But don't lose hope of your dream.
Yes.
Yeah, this is, I mean, like, I felt so comfortable. I will tell you one thing for myself, though. I felt so comfortable in Indonesia because I was already speaking the language, I already know the people, the culture. I felt home, I lived there half of my life. I felt home, but still, my heart wasn't there fully, like 100%. I always had this feeling I was to be somewhere else. But, time flies so fast, and we just keep one year after another, 1 year after another. And then one day I clicked and I said, no, it's time to go. Because I always felt like I had to go somewhere else. I miss Indonesia. It's like, I feel home when I'm there. But I'm glad I came to Portugal, So when I came here, I was okay. We have all the languages that we do as a foreigner, but I felt like, okay, this is it. This is the place. When you feel calm about it, it's like, okay, this is where I am to be. So if you have that feeling that you are to go back there, go back there, give a try,
Yes.
have a test someday. Don't let yourself accommodate to the fact that here is easier. Not because it's easy doesn't mean this is the place you are to be.
So exactly. You
Yeah.
have to be little bit out of the comfort zone to grow. If you
Yes,
are
and
little
that's what I said to her, not to be in Portugal, then
you
we
can
can
always
always
go back.
go.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That
we can
option is
always go.
always open.
Yeah, door will be always open, You already built that kind of experience that is enough for you to go back and start again because you know how.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
building a puzzle.
Yeah, like or Lego blocks, and you climb up and up.
Yes. And then, once you build it up again, it's so much easier because you already know how.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
Definitely.
really know how. So thank you so much for being here and
And it was
interviewing.
lovely talking with you as well, and uh,
Yeah,
getting
awesome.
the opportunity to ask these questions and understand
Yes.
better.
Likewise, and now exactly why do I have the heart for immigrants, in special Brazilians and Indian? Now you know my story background, where I come from, and I think this will make much easier for them to understand why I'm so eager to go into the immigrant and in special Indian community to help them out learning the language. Yeah. So thank you so much, and I will see you in class.
Thank you. You too, teacher.
Bye.
Obrigado.
De nada.